Who hasn't dreamed of donning armor, wielding a sword forged by your own hands, and venturing into vast, unknown worlds? The feeling of being a warrior, ready to face any challenge that comes your way, is something that only a few games truly capture in a unique way. With that in mind, I've put together the 20 best games that deliver the true sensation of being a legendary knight. But our list isn't limited to purely medieval games. It goes beyond, gathering titles that evoke the atmosphere of epic battles, mysterious lands, and journeys that require courage and strategy. Whether you're exploring ruined kingdoms, facing colossal creatures, or leading armies in grand conflicts, this selection of games will take you straight to the heart of these adventures. Prepare to find everything from classics that shaped the genre to surprising games you may not know yet. Starting off strong, Chivalry 2 is one of those medieval games that throws you right into the middle of the battlefield. The sensation of participating in a large-scale war is almost palpable, with frantic duels and castle sieges straight out of a movie. The gameplay blends precise and brutal attacks with realistic physics, making you feel every blow you give or take. It's impossible not to get immersed, especially when a rain of arrows cuts through the sky as you charge forward with your army. What makes this game so special is the balance between strategy and absolute chaos. In some moments, you need to carefully choose your movements, planning how to take down that enemy blocking your path. In others, the sheer chaos of battle becomes addictive, and you dive into the heat of combat, surrounded by swords and axes. This ensures that each match feels unique, leaving you on the verge of a heroic victory every time. The multiplayer system guarantees massive battles with dozens of players at once. The online competition adds an extra layer of challenge and fun, especially when melee fights become more intense and unpredictable. The fast, dynamic matches never lose their pace, making this one of the best medieval combat games to play with friends. In second place, we have Mount and Blade 2, a game that takes the immersion of medieval combat to an impressive level. It combines deep war simulation with a feeling of freedom, where you control both battles and the management of your army and fiefs. The standout feature is the ability to be both a strategist and a warrior in the field. The game strikes the perfect balance between real-time action and strategic decision-making. One of the most fascinating aspects of this game is how your decisions directly affect the fate of your kingdom. Every action, from negotiating with other leaders to how you organize your troops, can alter the course of the campaign. This adds depth that goes far beyond just attacking enemies, putting you in control of something bigger, like a true war for territorial conquest. The gameplay shines in massive battles where hundreds of soldiers clash in open fields or castle sieges. The sense of command is vivid, and watching your orders being carried out while chaos unfolds on the screen is simply thrilling. Without a doubt, it's one of the best games for those who love combining strategy and action in a vast, dynamic medieval setting. In third place, we have Ryse, Son of Rome, a game that takes you straight to the battlefield of ancient Rome, with stunning graphics and an engaging story. The gameplay focuses on hand-to-hand combat, where you take control of a Roman soldier fighting in large campaigns. The fluidity of movements and the brutality of the blows make each fight intense and action-packed. The visual details are spectacular, transporting players to epic scenes with cinematic battles. What sets this game apart is the choreography of the fights. Each battle is precisely choreographed, with movements that look like they're straight out of an action movie, creating a feeling of power and skill with every hit. There are also moments where you lead your men in formation, adding a tactical element to the game. The rhythm of these battles, interspersed with epic scenes, keeps players constantly engaged. The linear narrative is another strength, placing you at the center of a story of revenge and honor. Although it's more action-focused than RPG elements, the game delivers a complete combat experience. It's definitely a game that deserves to be among the best medieval-themed titles, and it's worth playing for anyone looking for visceral action. Continuing, we have the Inquisitor, which brings a unique perspective to the medieval period, focusing on themes of religion and power. The game puts you in the shoes of an Inquisitor tasked with investigating and punishing heresy in a dark and mysterious world. The plot is gripping, blending elements of investigation and morality, forcing tough decisions that directly impact the course of the story. Each mission brings new challenges, and the heavy atmosphere creates a constant sense of tension. The gameplay focuses on investigation and combat, where you explore detailed environments, searching for clues, and confront enemies in intense duels. Battles require quick reflexes and precision, as every mistake can be fatal. The moral choice mechanic also stands out, as the easiest path is not always the right one, adding layers of depth to the game. This creates an immersion that few games manage to achieve. Another interesting point is the variety of approaches the game allows. You can adopt a more direct style, focusing on combat, or opt for a more cautious approach, investigating every detail before acting. This flexibility ensures that each playthrough has its own unique pace, providing an excellent experience. Without a doubt, it's one of the best games that mixes action and narrative in an intelligent way. In fifth place on the list, For Honor delivers a unique medieval combat experience focused on dueling warriors from different cultures. The combat system is known for its complexity, requiring players to master the timing of attacks and defenses with precision. It's a game where each battle turns into a test of skill and strategy, mixing swords, axes, and spears in intense confrontations. The variety of playable warriors brings an interesting diversity to the battlefield. One of the most intriguing aspects is the combat mechanic, called the Art of Battle. This system gives you full control over how to attack and defend, forcing players to read their opponent's movements to find openings. The game isn't limited to individual fights. There are large-scale battles where you can join an army and fight to dominate territories. This adds a sense of progress and belonging within the game's universe. Another highlight is the multiplayer mode, where fights become even more challenging when facing real players. Here, every move counts, and winning a battle can bring great satisfaction. With options for different factions and classes, the game offers a lot of variety, ensuring that each duel has a different dynamic without becoming repetitive. In sixth place, Skyrim is a game that, while not strictly medieval, perfectly conveys that feeling. With its imposing castles, armored warriors, and mythical creatures, it creates an atmosphere that reminds players of the Middle Ages in a fantasy world. The vast freedom of exploration is one of its biggest draws, leading players to lose themselves in dense forests, ancient ruins, and snow-covered mountains. The strength lies in how your actions impact the environment around you. Every decision you make, whether fighting powerful creatures or interacting with other characters, significantly alters the course of your journey. This keeps the player constantly engaged, knowing that every choice can bring new challenges and rewards. The fluidity of combat, mixing physical attacks with magic, adds a good dose of variety to the gameplay. With an immense map full of secrets to discover, the game delivers hours of content, always offering something new in every corner explored. Whether fighting fierce enemies or uncovering hidden mysteries, the feeling of being in a medieval fantasy world is what captivates players the most. In seventh place, Kingdom Come: Deliverance stands out by offering a faithful representation of life in medieval Europe. Without fantasy elements, the game bets on realism, placing players in the shoes of a simple villager fighting for survival. The historical setting is impeccable, with cities, castles, and landscapes inspired by 15th century Bohemia, creating a different kind of immersion. Here, every battle and interaction feels palpable and authentic. The game's charm lies in its unique combat system, which moves away from traditional styles found in other games. The fighting mechanics are complex, requiring precision and strategy, as every strike and block can decide the outcome of a duel. The skills and attributes system adds depth that emphasizes character development, Progression is slow but rewarding, making each achievement feel valuable. Another notable aspect is the freedom of choice. Whether in battles or how conflicts are resolved, the game offers a variety of options, allowing players to take diplomatic approaches or engage in direct combat. The engaging narrative and attention to historical detail make this a standout game for its authenticity and the complexity of its interactions. In 8th place, The Witcher 3 is one of the games that best combines medieval elements with fantasy, creating a vast and immersive universe. Players are thrust into a world filled with mystical creatures, warring kingdoms, and landscapes reminiscent of medieval Europe. Exploration is a highlight, as every corner of the map holds new secrets, monster hunting contracts, and intriguing characters that enrich the journey. Combat is dynamic, combining sword skills with magic, requiring both quick reflexes and strategy. The choices players make throughout the game profoundly impact the story's progression. This makes each playthrough unique, offering multiple paths and different endings depending on the decisions you make. The richness of the dialogues and characters further immerses players in the plot. Another noteworthy aspect is the balance between main and side quests. While the central story unfolds epically, the side missions are equally deep and well-developed, encouraging players to explore every part of the world. This attention to additional content is what elevates the game's quality, ensuring hours of entertainment in a setting that blends the medieval with the fantastic. In 9th place, Manor Lords brings a different proposition within medieval-themed games, focusing on city building and management. Players take on the role of a feudal lord, responsible for constructing and managing a small fiefdom, facing challenges ranging from village architecture to defending the territory. The game's realism is impressive, with buildings following historical patterns and a seasonal cycle that directly affects resource production and the prosperity of the people. The game offers an interesting mix of city simulation and real-time strategy. It's not enough to just build structures. You must also think about how to protect them from potential invasions. When battles arise, they are tense and realistic, with players controlling armies that must be strategically organized to defend the fief. This balance between economic development and strategic combat makes the game stand out in the genre. The depth of the management mechanics ensures each playthrough is different. You can choose where and how to expand your lands, considering the terrain, available resources, and even weather conditions. This adds an extra layer of planning that keeps players engaged, always looking for the best way to thrive and survive in this medieval world. In 10th place, the classic Age of Empires series has cemented itself as one of the cornerstones of real-time strategy games. With a historically accurate approach, players are challenged to lead ancient civilizations, building empires and engaging in epic battles that span various eras. The richness and detail, both in the buildings and units, makes you feel like you're commanding an army ready to conquer the world. The gameplay mechanics involve resource gathering, technological development, and, of course, strategic combat. The game's pace varies depending on each player's style, whether it's focusing on rapid expansion or careful defense while building strength. The historical campaigns are a major highlight, allowing players to relive iconic moments from history as they face challenges in both management and warfare. Beyond the campaign mode, the multiplayer is one of the reasons the game remains so popular. The ability to play against friends or strangers in battles where every move can decide the outcome ensures a constantly evolving and challenging experience. It's no wonder the series remains relevant, offering fun and challenges with every new release. In 11th place, the Crusader King series provides a unique experience in strategy games, focusing less on battles and more on political intrigue and dynastic management. The player controls a medieval dynasty, making decisions that affect not just the kingdom, but also family ties and alliances. Every political choice, marriage, or betrayal can completely change the course of history, creating unpredictable and fascinating narratives. The game emphasizes how you manage your relationships, as every character has their own ambitions and can either help or hinder your goals. It's not just about winning wars, but ensuring your dynasty thrives across generations. Conquering new lands is important, but knowing how to maintain allies and subdue enemies without raising a sword is the true challenge. Another interesting aspect is the depth of the dynastic events, such as inheritances, internal revolts, and throne disputes. The game keeps the player constantly engaged in decisions that balance power, honor, and pragmatism. This blend of strategy and personal narrative makes the series stand out within the medieval game genre. In 12th place, Pentiment offers a completely original approach to the medieval game genre. With an aesthetic inspired by medieval manuscripts and illuminated texts, it transports players to a world of mystery and intrigue in the late Middle Ages. The narrative takes center stage here, where every choice made by the player directly impacts the unfolding events, creating an immersive experience in a living story full of twists. The game combines elements of investigation and interactive storytelling, where you take on the role of an artist caught up in mysterious events. The focus isn't on combat, but on decision-making and interacting with the characters you encounter. Every dialogue and choice can reveal secrets or lead to unexpected consequences, keeping players attentive to every detail. In addition to its unique visual style, the game also explores deep themes such as religion, power, and art, offering a different narrative experience in the medieval setting. For those looking for something more focused on history and complex choices, this game is a true gem. In 13th place, Dragon's Dogma is a game that, while not strictly medieval, delivers a strong sense of being in a world inspired by that period. With castles, knights, and colossal creatures, the fantasy universe you venture into evokes the atmosphere of an age of swords and epic battles. Players face off in duels against giant monsters, like griffins and dragons, in thrilling combat that demands both strategy and skill. The combat system is intense and dynamic, allowing great freedom of action. One of the game's highlights is the pawn system, AI-controlled companions that can be recruited to help in battles and adapt to your playstyle. This adds a strategic layer, making each fight unique and full of possibilities. The vast open world invites exploration, with challenges that vary depending on the day-night cycle, making nighttime journeys particularly dangerous. The balance between action, exploration, and customization creates an immersive experience. And though it's not purely a medieval game, it captures the essence of that atmosphere in its epic adventures. In 14th place, Demon's Souls brings a dark and challenging atmosphere that, although set in a fantasy world, draws heavily on medieval influences in its design. With Gothic castles, knights, and intense battles, the game places players in oppressive and dangerous settings, where every step must be carefully planned. Its high difficulty level is a hallmark, demanding precision in combat and a good dose of strategy. What sets this game apart is the constant tension it creates, especially in duels against powerful enemies. The gameplay is centered around close-quarters combat, where every move can be decisive. The resource management mechanics, like health and magic, force players to think twice before attacking or defending, creating a gameplay rhythm that keeps the adrenaline high. Another strength is the level design, with interconnected areas that offer multiple paths to explore. Each location presents its own challenges and enemies, keeping players constantly on edge about what might come next. This brutal and unforgiving medieval environment makes the game a true test of skill and patience. In 15th place, Game of Thrones Telltale brings the intriguing and ruthless world of the famous series into an interactive adventure format. The game focuses on choices and consequences, where every decision can mean life or death for the characters involved. The medieval atmosphere is masterfully recreated, transporting players to a world of political intrigue, betrayals, and alliances that define the plot. Instead of intense battles, the game places you at the heart of an engaging drama, where you must deal with moral, and strategic dilemmas. The interactions between characters are full of tension, and the way you respond to dialogues can completely alter the story's course. This makes players feel like an active part of a complex storyline, where each action can have devastating repercussions. Another strength is the fidelity to the Game of Thrones universe, with settings, characters, and events that directly connect to the series. This adds an extra layer of immersion for fans, but also attracts new players who appreciate deep narratives and impactful choices in a medieval setting filled with twists. In 16th place, A Plague Tale offers a dark and thrilling take on the medieval period, blending historical elements with a captivating narrative. Set in plague-ravaged France, the game follows two siblings struggling to survive amidst chaos. The oppressive atmosphere, filled with destroyed villages and battlefields, transports you directly to medieval Europe with a strong emphasis on stealth and tension. The game stands out for its gameplay, which revolves around escaping powerful enemies and using the environment to your advantage. It's not just about fighting, but surviving a desperate situation where darkness and fear are constant companions. The narrative shines as well, with an emotionally gripping story and tough decisions that create a deep connection with the characters. The game also introduces innovative mechanics, like the use of plague-infested rats, which can be both enemies and tools to solve challenges along the way. This balance of storytelling, strategy, and medieval setting makes the series a standout, creating moments of tension and triumph that capture the essence of an era marked by tragedy. In 17th place, Outward stands out for its unique approach to open-world games with a medieval theme, putting survival at the heart of the experience. Instead of playing as a powerful hero, you're an ordinary adventurer facing hardships like hunger, thirst, and the weather, along with the usual enemies. This premise turns every journey into a real test of endurance and planning. The game's major distinction lies in balancing exploration with resource management. Every expedition requires preparation, whether in terms of supplies or strategies to handle the dangers lurking around every corner. Besides combat, managing survival conditions delves into aspects that many games overlook, bringing a constant and rewarding challenge. With a vast and dynamic world full of secrets and unknown areas, players are encouraged to explore despite the risks. The mix of survival needs and the desire to discover new regions makes each adventure unique, always offering something new and unexpected to uncover. In 18th place, Elden Ring isn't exactly a medieval game, but it strongly conveys that feeling with its vast fantasy world. The universe is full of ruined castles, imposing knights, and colossal creatures, evoking a medieval atmosphere despite its supernatural elements. Players are thrown into a dark setting where every corner hides dangers and secrets, offering a blend of exploration and intense combat. The combat system is demanding, with a strong emphasis on customization and strategy. Whether wielding swords or casting spells, players need to be alert to every movement, as enemies are relentless and each fight is a real test of skill. The freedom to explore the world at your own pace allows you to discover unknown regions, each with its own challenges and rewards. The world design is another highlight, with breathtaking landscapes and a constant sense of mystery that rewards exploration. Even though it's not a strictly medieval game, it perfectly captures the essence of a universe full of epic battles and a dark atmosphere reminiscent of the Middle Ages. In 19th place, Dark Souls is a game that, although not strictly medieval, delivers an atmosphere heavily inspired by that period. With its dark castles, knights, and mystical creatures, it transports players to a world full of deadly challenges. The oppressive environment and Gothic architecture evoke the feeling of an era of darkness and war, where every step can lead to an unpredictable encounter. The combat system is known for its precision and difficulty, requiring patience and skill in each duel. Battles against powerful enemies and legendary bosses are the highlights, bringing constant tension and rewarding strategy and observation. The game is notable for offering no easy solutions, forcing players to learn from their mistakes and improve with each attempt, making victories even more satisfying. Exploration is another key element, with an interconnected world that hides secrets at every turn. Each region has its own story and dangers, and players are encouraged to explore carefully, knowing that the next corner might bring both rewards and deadly traps. The constant sense of being in a corrupted medieval world creates an immersive and challenging experience. Next, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which takes us directly to ancient Greece, a setting that, while not medieval, carries many elements that remind us of the grandeur of past eras. With vast landscapes, monumental cities, and epic battles, the game offers deep immersion in a time marked by myths, legends, and great conflicts. Players don the armor of a warrior, facing dangers and challenges both on land and at sea. The combat is dynamic and allows for a variety of styles, from direct confrontations to more stealthy strategies. The skill and weapon system is extensive, giving players the chance to fully customize their approach to each battle. The flexibility in choosing abilities and character progression makes advancement engaging, with new options unlocking as you progress through the game. Open-world exploration is one of the game's high points. The expansive map encourages curiosity, with islands, mountains, and cities filled with stories to uncover. Naval battles and large-scale fights add an epic touch, reinforcing the feeling of being immersed in great historical events. Even though it's outside the medieval context, the spirit of adventure is strongly present. And it's time to reflect. How many of these games have you had the chance to play? Do you think any major game was left out of this selection? We know the world of medieval games is full of amazing options, so let us know in the comments if you think a deserving game was overlooked. Speaking of which, what's your favorite in this medieval vibe? Do you prefer something more action-packed or a slower, strategic approach? Don't forget to share your opinion, and be sure to subscribe to the Play Hunters channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content on games, releases, and the best tips in the gaming world. We want to keep you up to date with everything happening in the gaming universe. I'm also leaving a video card with the best combat mechanics games of all time. Just click to watch. Big hugs, and see you tomorrow.